Hello and welcome. You're watching Tech Trends. I'm Ridhima Bhatnagar. The digital optimism and transformation wave commenced by the pandemic, accelerated through 2020 and 2021, continued well into 2022. With the post-pandemic cycles of shutdowns and restarts, social distancing and travel curbs finally started ebbing, and 2022 was a year of learning as well as unlearning. So we thought we'll bring to you the best tech moments of 2022 and what we can expect from 2023. Joining me is a stellar panel today. I have the co-founder of Zerodha, Nikhil Kamath. I have CEO of Phenology, Pranjal Kamra, and a crypto expert, Ajit Khurana. Gentlemen, thank you so much and taking our time and joining us here. So without really wasting any time, let's get straight to it. This was the biggest buzzword across organizations this year. Moonlighting, or working under the moon's light, is essentially having a side job in addition to a full-time job. As we came out of the pandemic, employees started looking at avenues to earn an extra buck and also upskill themselves, but not all employers were impressed. So is moonlighting cheating, or is it just another way of being sustainable?
While moonlighting has been a known phenomenon in the US, in India, it all began when the chairman of Wipro, Rishad Premji, gave a stern warning to its employees, saying that the company has no place for any employee who chooses to work directly with rivals while being on Wipro payrolls. Wipro later sacked 300 employees who were moonlighting. But this was in sharp contrast to what food delivery startup Swiggy said to its employees. Along with a full-time job, employees will be allowed to pick up additional projects outside work and the company will support them. For this purpose, the gigs or temporary work will be categorized. Employees say the need for increasing investments, paying off debts, gaining more work experience, and pursuing a career passion are the reasons to moonlight. But employers feel this is a breach of contract. Employers explain that if an employee begins to steal information or aids a competitor in the name of moonlighting, then that is completely illegal. Can there be a middle ground? Let's find out.
Can there really be a middle ground? Nikhil, I'd like to kickstart the conversation with you. As I said, the hottest buzzword in debate of 2022. What did you think about moonlighting, and what do you think? Will we have a deeper impact of it in 2023?
Well, Ridhima, I believe broadly we are moving towards more of a gig economy where many people might do many jobs at the same point of time. The problem could be with misrepresenting what one is doing. I don't think moonlighting is wrong per se, but if you were to represent to your employer that you're working full time and not doing anything else, but working on the side is a problem. What we need is probably increased transparency where people report the different roles and jobs that they might be doing. Under those circumstances, I don't think moonlighting is too big of a problem.
Pranjal, where do you stand on this moonlighting debate? Is moonlighting unethical?
See, I think anything that's discussed and mutually agreed upon between two people and does no harm to anyone else is not unethical or illegal. I think if it's discussed, if it's not kept as a secret, because ultimately employees decide an organization's policy collectively, the management and employees. So if it's collectively decided, if it's there in the employment contract, I think it's fine. Otherwise, if it's done in a hidden way, I think it's wrong somewhere down the line, because then I believe that why are there 8-hour, 9-hour work shifts? So that you get 15, 16 hours to refresh yourself and then come to work again and give your 100%. But if someone has the mental capacity to work for 15 hours, 16 hours, then why not inform your primary employer, renegotiate your salary, get overtime for working double shift, and you don't need to moonlight. Your organization would be more than happy. Most organizations would be more than happy to pay you double your salary. If not, then yes, you have informed your organization that you want to work double shift, you're okay working 16 hours, organization doesn't allow, then someone is ethically or morally right if he or she does moonlighting. But without that, I don't think it's perfectly right.
So, Nikhil, I want to bring you back in the conversation. We saw a very stark contrast in terms of what Wipro said, sacked almost 300 employees, and what Swiggy said. Going into 2023, do you see more companies realizing that this is a reality they will have to grapple with?
Personally, I believe it is. I think this work from home is a trend that is here to stay. And when an employer does not have visibility over his employee and the person is working at home, he is bound to take up other opportunities in his own free time. So I don't look at this as a negative thing. Like I said earlier, the whole thing that needs to change here is increased transparency, where the employee reports to his employer whatever he's doing in his free time. And I think that will be the trend going forward, where a lot more people will work from home and a lot more people will have multiple vocations at the same time. And I think it would be really foolhardy to think that one could stop it or one could contain it, especially when people are working from home.
But you know, Pranjal, this is where I think it becomes slightly problematic. I agree with the point that Nikhil is making that, you know, you will be a fool if you think that employees are not doing it. But if there isn't a law per se, can employers actually fire employees?
So, this is where the Contract Act takes significance. If the employment contract specifically mentions that a second job or moonlighting is prohibited, if it's expressly mentioned in the contract, then it becomes illegal. But if the contract or your agreement with the employer is silent around it, then it's absolutely legal, and then the employer does not have the right to actually fire you. So it depends on a case-to-case basis on what your employment contract with your employer is.
Okay, so as we said, the debate still isn't settled. We'll have to see how 2023 takes to moonlighting. I'll request my guests to stay on with us. We now want to shift our focus to the other big debate and something that continued to rage till the end of 2022. He walked inside the Twitter headquarters with a sink, yes, and called himself the chief twit. He was till recently the world's richest man, and he does things with a splash. Elon Musk's Twitter takeover was nothing short of a never-ending saga. Will he, won't he? And when he did, boy, did he change the place. Musk bought the social media company for about $44 billion, matching the original price he had earlier offered. But the Twitter deal had a tumultuous year. Musk tried to back out of the agreement, then Twitter sued him, forcing him to honor the deal. Just weeks before the matter was set to go to trial, Elon Musk again offered to buy the companies. His ways have been anything but traditional. Many have criticized his rash and rogue ways, with some calling him a leader of the changing times. Here's the story so far.
Musk's first few days at work looked like this: mass layoffs, top executives resigning, fake verified accounts popping up, and a real threat of bankruptcy. But Musk was unmoved. In his first official communication to Twitter employees, Musk painted a bleak picture for the organization, saying economic picture ahead is dire. Elon Musk was clear: you go hardcore or go home. His policy decisions are still being understood. First, he wanted to give everyone a verification badge, and that too with a cost. Next, he wanted to bring suspended accounts back, and then threatened advisors who wanted to pull out. Well, what does this mean for Twitter in the next year? As Musk himself said, Twitter will do a lot of dumb things in the months to come. They will keep what works and let go of others. What that means, well, only time will tell.
Nikhil, I want to bring you back in the conversation. How did you see Musk's takeover of Twitter? Will he, won't he? And when he did, so many changes, Musk resignations, the top brass was laid off on day one. Go hardcore or go home. Do you think that's a sustainable policy?
Well, I've been tracking Twitter for a long time. I was an investor before the Musk takeover. Uh, I think existing shareholders were rewarded by Musk coming in. And what I find incredible is, as a Twitter user today, uh, I don't see any change in the way the service works. The user experience from a user standpoint has not changed. If he's able to manage the company in the same manner and do it with a fraction of the staff he had earlier, uh, I don't see how that could be going in the wrong direction. I feel like Twitter would probably be a lot more profitable under Musk than it was before Musk.
Yeah.
And this could be a trend in many IT companies. You know, when the whole revolution happened around IT and social media, people did not really question how lean, how operationally efficient these companies were,
Yeah.
because the delta they brought in by virtue of tech was so large. So one did not really ask if something they hired 100 people for needed 100 people or needed 20 people.
True.
So this trend will likely continue, uh, and in the West more so than in developing economies. I think UBI is set to become a
Sure.
reality very soon with the advent of AI. And I was looking at the Chat GPT, the bot from OpenAI,
But
and
Nikhil, you're saying from a user perspective, you've not seen much of a change. But in terms of the policy changes that have happened in terms of, giving a verified badge to almost everyone, that too at a cost, many have questioned whether this will backfire as far as misinformation is concerned.
well, considering Musk being Musk and all that he has done, I feel he will be able to curtail the issue of like people misrepresenting themselves to be someone else. Maybe he starts a black badge for some people. Blue
Sure.
badge is one which is available for sale. But net, it leaves me hopeful about Twitter as a company, and from an investor's lens, it leaves me hopeful of how the financials of the company could change, and I think it will be a profitable company in the future, more
Okay.
so than it was in the past.
It will be a profitable company more than it was in the past. Okay, I'll request our guests to stay on with us. I have to slip into a very short break, but don't go anywhere. We come back with the other trends that we tracked right through 2022.